You see the screen? Okay.
Yep, looks good.
Okay. Just turn off my email.
Oh, sneak peek at the calendar.
Yeah.
Right. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Good morning. All right. There's still some people coming in. And then we'll get started once that starts to level out.
And we are going to disable the chat, just so everyone knows. We're going to use the Q&A icon instead of the chat. So don't be worried if in a couple minutes your chat box disappears.
Okay, so we're going to get started. Hi, everyone. My name is Leanne Ellis, and I am a library coordinator with the Office of Library Services.
Good morning, and my name is Vincent Highland. I'm also a coordinator at the Office of Library Services. And today, Leanne and I are going to be talking to you about how you can engage and empower your students through digital and inquiry instruction, digital fluency and inquiry fluency instruction.
So I'm going to turn off my camera, but you're going to see our photos soon.
Yes.
And then we'll have our cameras on at the end during the Q&A. So let's get started with our presentation.
Let's do it.
Okay. So again, if you, this is us, so please feel free to write down our email addresses and contact us at any point after this presentation to follow up with any questions you have about it.
So just to give you a little overview of what we're going to be talking about today, we're going to have a little opening for you. We're going to take a poll. Then we're going to kind of go over with you what the idea is behind an engaged and an empowered learner. And then we're going to talk a little bit about some curriculum developments, some updates that have been made in information fluency instruction and library instruction in the last year. Then Leanne is going to share with you some resources that we have available that are the result of some of that alignment work that we've done that you can be using in your schools starting tomorrow. And we're also going to share with you some upcoming professional learning opportunities. If you love everything that you hear today and you want to hear more, you're going to be able to stay in touch with us and attend additional trainings and workshops online and in person throughout the rest of this school year. All right, so just to start off, we would love to hear what you think in a word or phrase. What does an engaged and empowered learner look like in 2022? You can just take out your phone or another device and scan that QR code, and it'll take you to a place where you can answer that question. And Leanne, if you click on the results tab link there, we should have a word cloud. All right, tech savvy, high interest, confident, critical thinker. And then can you refresh that? Because I think there's a lot more responses coming in.
Sure.
Yes.
Ooh, here we go.
A lot of confident, a lot of focused, interested, interesting, multiple literacies. A lot of tech. Eyes wide open. I like that one. Civically engaged. 21st century skills. Risk taker.
Multi-sensory.
Great. So we can hop back over to the presentation now. And so thank you guys for engaging in that little poll. We're going to talk to you now a little bit about some work that Leanne and I took part in last year to build out this this instructional plan or these resources for meeting our students where they are. If you go to the next slide, Leanne. A lot of what you guys mentioned, we actually agree. We sat down with a bunch of librarians and a bunch of tech teachers, and we sort of developed this portrait of an engaged and empowered learner in the 21st century. And like a lot of the things that you mentioned in the word cloud, we thought that students today, their primary attributes are they have strong self-identities, they're independent learners, they are competent and fluent in a lot of different arenas, they have growth mindsets, and the attributes of social and emotional learners, they're culturally responsive, and they're comfortable using their own voices. They're comfortable advocating for themselves and for their other people in their communities. And we decided in our group, we were like, this is really what we want our students when they graduate school to be able to say. We want them to have these qualities, and what can we do as instructors, as instructional leaders, to promote that, to develop these mindsets and these attributes in our students while they're in our schools from kindergarten to 12th grade. Go ahead to the next slide. And so, take it away, Leanne.
Okay, so we partnered with Teaching Matters for some of this work, and they came up with this great video that's available on YouTube. It's called Inquiry Around the City, that really defines what it means for our students to inquire about the world around them, both academically and personally.
Did you ever wonder why New York City is called the city that never sleeps? Or why we have some of the tallest buildings in the world? Or how the rising rent prices affect the cost of our snacks at the bodega? I'm sure we all have a bunch of questions about the world around us, and that we may wonder how the answers to those big questions may affect our lives. All of these big questions we have about the world around us are the foundation of what we call the inquiry cycle. The inquiry cycle is driven by one's own curiosity, wonder, interest, or passion to understand an observation or to solve a problem. Before the inquiry cycle begins, we think of an intriguing idea or issue that we may be interested in exploring. For example, one thing that's unique to New York City is our complex subway system that many students use to travel to school each day. From that observation, I may ask an open-ended question like, how might the New York City subway system impact student attendance at my school? After we decide on our interesting idea or open-ended question, the first steps of the inquiry cycle ask us to connect and wonder. What background knowledge do I have about the subway system? How has the New York City subway system affected my commute to school? If I were to make a prediction, do I think that the subway system has a more positive or negative impact on my commute to school? The first steps of connect and wonder in the inquiry cycle are vital in that the question we explore should really matter to us. So for me, based on my experience as a former New York City student, I predict that the New York City subway system may actually negatively impact student attendance rates due to frequent train delays during rush hour. The next step of our inquiry cycle is investigate, finding research to support or challenge our hypothesis. That may include researching existing studies, interviewing classmates, or studying subway maps to gain information on how the New York City subway may affect student attendance. Then that leads us to our next step, construct. Between our background knowledge and research we conducted on the New York City subway system, what conclusions can I draw about how the subway system affects school attendance? What are all the reasons why attendance rates might be negatively impacted by the New York City subway system? In this part of the cycle, I will make my claim. The next step in our inquiry cycle is express. How can we take what we learned about our topic and express our learning in a new way? Maybe I want to create a video, song, podcast, write an essay, or make a presentation about how the subway system affects our school's attendance rates. Applying my learning in a new context can bring about new findings and connections. From those new discoveries, I'll land at my final step, reflection. What did I learn through the inquiry cycle about my topic and about my own inquiry skills? How does that understanding of the learning process affect the way I think about the world around me? Going back to my hypotheses that the New York City subway system would likely negatively impact attendance rates, I may ask myself, are there other factors of being a New York City student that can impact school attendance rates? What new questions and ideas may I explore? So that's the inquiry cycle in a nutshell. Inquiry is quite simply a systematic investigation into a problem, issue, topic, or idea. This approach actively involves students driving their own learning, while teachers and other classroom leaders teach the necessary skills and help to facilitate that process. So remember to always think big and continue to explore the questions that matter most to you. It's likely they matter to someone else too. And when we use inquiry together, who knows what problems we may solve for the future.
So we have a compendium of skills, the Empire State Information Fluency Continuum, which are the skills of the inquiry cycle that you just saw a great video about. So we like to conduct another poll. Vincent's going to post the link into the chat so that you can directly fill it out on how familiar are you with the Empire State Information Fluency Continuum. He's going to post it into the chat. So take just a second to fill it out, and then we are going to show you the live results. Okay, so let's do one more refresh. Okay, and we'll wait because we have 950 participants, 229 took the survey. So we'll do one more refresh of it. Okay, so it seems the majority of individuals are not familiar with it at all. Okay, great. So that gives us an opportunity to tell you more about it. So it's as I mentioned, a compendium of skills for grades pre-K through 12. That's not tied to any particular content area because it's learning the skills through any type of content. So it's skills like fact versus opinion, point of view, evaluating evidence, analyzing visual media. So it's all of those skills that are part of the research and inquiry cycle. So Vincent's going to tell you a little bit more about some of the definitions so we can all be on the same page about what we mean when we talk about digital fluency. Because a lot of people use the term, media literacy, digital literacy, information literacy, digital fluency interchangeably. So we want to have you aware of the differences between those.
Absolutely. Thanks, Leanne. Right. So like Leanne was just saying, that Empire State Information Fluency Continuum has been around for a long time. And it includes skills like formulating questions, locating and evaluating diverse sources of information, vetting sources, etc. But what does it mean to be literate in a thing like that? So literacy usually refers to the collection of discrete skills that make someone competent in a particular area, right? If we say a person is literate in a language, then we're usually saying that they know how to read and write. A fluency, however, is a person's ability to apply a variety of different skills and competencies and have the know-how for when each one of those things is needed. When we say someone is fluent in a language, for example, we're saying that they have learned and practiced that language and that they're able to use it in any circumstance with near native facility. So we took our existing compendium of information skills that make up someone who is information fluent, and we married them with a similar group of skills that make up digital fluency, as well as the mindsets of culturally responsive learners. And we did sort of a catwalk or an alignment in between these three different sets of skills. And we decided that this was the best way to conceptualize a framework for teaching for engaged and empowered learners. An engaged and empowered learner has those digital fluency skills, the discrete skills including what you see here, managing a digital footprint ethically and responsibly, communicating, collaborating. They're asking questions of themselves and their communities. And they're still, just like librarians have been teaching for a long time, they're still using that same information, those same information skills to, but they're doing it on digital platforms now. So you can go ahead to the next slide, Leanne. And this is what that looks like. So on the green side there, you see that we have our ESIFC standards, which have been around for a while, and those are all rooted in the inquiry process. Inquiry, as you saw in the video, is kind of what drives a lot of this work. And we tried to bring in these new digital standards that came from New York State, as well as the framework for cultural responsiveness. And so now these three things, as you can see, these three skills are related to each other, and we were able to put them together in one place so that we can to inform our teaching.
So one thing that has always been a part of the ESIFC that has been enhanced through our collaborative work with Teaching Matters are assessments. So we have graphic organizers so that you can measure and assess student learning with each of your integrated skills. So just to show you some examples, refining research questions. So these assessments are available for grades pre-K through 12 and run the gamut from what's the main idea all the way up to evaluating information or refining research questions or locating information with various sources. All of the graphic organizers are available in Word, so they can be downloaded and customized for your students. They're also available as Google Docs, so you can easily integrate them into your Google Classroom. And we've also created culminating products. So these are opportunities for students to demonstrate their fluency with the skills and the competencies they've developed. And they just give ideas for project-based learning through the inquiry cycle, so students can demonstrate their digital fluency success. So some examples of those are the
I can speak to that, Liam.
yeah.
So the culminating products are they're meant to be meaningful opportunities for students to demonstrate all this great skills that you've taught them, right? After we've done a segment of information literacy teaching, and we've had some digital literacy teaching. Now this is basically a kind of a project that students can do that's going to give the teacher and the librarian the ability to measure how well the student is progressing on developing those skills. As we were developing these products, we wanted it to be, again, rooted in the inquiry process, which meant that students should be dealing with authentic issues or authentic scenarios or problems or questions that guide and facilitate the whole goal of the project, right? Students should be coming up with their own original ideas that are based on some kind of investigation that gives them the ability to answer their own questions. We had certain non-negotiables that we wanted to make sure were included in each of these products. One, it had to meet the standards that we wanted to measure. And we wanted to make sure that students had the ability to really express themselves, that there was the opportunity for creativity and for original engagement built into what we were asking students to do in the assignments. You're going to see that there's a bunch of there are large scale products available as well as small scale. We wanted to give students the opportunity to do these like a larger scale, sort of a summative task or a summative product. But then there's also ones that can be done after a much smaller unit of inquiry. We also tried to tie them to content areas, like Leanne mentioned earlier. The ESIFC is not content specific. We teach information fluency and digital fluency through all of the content areas. You know, we practice media literacy and information fluency in social studies as well as science as well as English. And so you'll see in these two examples, in the 12th grade example, which you see on the right, while the context for that product was drawn from the 12th grade Civics for All curriculum, the core of the task is really about relationships and power dynamics. These certainly exist throughout humanity, but they're present in history classes as well as in the natural world. And so this can create possibilities for the same project to be applied in a science class. They're very, very flexible assignments that we're not prescribing you teach in any one particular scenario or in one particular class. You can really adapt them to make it work in your school context. If you take a look at the kindergarten example, that one was actually drawn explicit. The idea behind that one was drawn explicitly from the New York City science scope and sequence for pre-K to 8th grade. But again, similar to the 12th grade example, the question it's really asking is about the relationship between people and their environment. So this is also a key concept in social studies, in geography, and it's a common theme in literature. So the product really can be used in a variety of different contexts, whatever works best for you in your school context, and whatever a librarian and a content area or a classroom teacher can work out together.
I just want to say our chat is disabled because oftentimes it's hard to find anything when we post to a chat. So if you look in the Q&A in the answer section, we did post the link. It's a YouTube link to the Inquiry Around the City video. And we also have the link to our ESIFC website, and that includes the stripling model of inquiry. It includes all of the assessments, as well as the information literacy skills listed. It has a link to the culminating products and the other documents we're going to show you in just a moment. So we were lucky to partner with Teaching Matters in having them help us develop some units of inquiry. So they developed units that are available now for grades 2nd, 5th, and 7th. This is the 7th grade unit, and you can just kind of see the lessons that are available that follow the stripling model of inquiry. So they're instructional guides. Each guide includes an introduction, a how-to slide deck, which includes the inquiry cycle video. It gives lesson overviews, and then each lesson plan is arranged in a slide deck in PowerPoint, or you can use it with Google Slides, as well as resources to be used in conjunction with the lessons, a student reflection guide, a rubric, and student-supported materials. So these inquiry units are designed to be, used at any point in the year with grades 2nd, 5th, and 7th, and they're approximately 4 to 6 weeks. For 8th grade, we have a capstone project, which is designed to be an inquiry unit that lasts all year, with students doing in-depth research into the topic of their choice. So just to give you a sense of what a capstone is, we have this explanation, which is a culmination of students learning through project-based exploration and research based on their own interests and the skills that they built up over time. So this is just kind of a sense of how the capstone project is organized in terms of a year-long project. So it's similar to the inquiry in terms of, having the resources and sort of student supports, as well as slide decks for the lesson plans. It's just meant to take place over a year or maybe a semester, as opposed to just a unit. We are also developing, so Vincent had just mentioned the culminating projects, and we are also developing sample units that are going to go with the grades that weren't developed with Teaching Matters. So kindergarten, 1st grade, 3rd, 4th, 7th grade, or sorry, 6th grade, 9th through 12th. And so those units are in the progress of being developed and will be ready to go with our January 12th in-person workshop. So our presentation today was to kind of give you an overview of the work we've done the last year around digital fluency, as a way to entice you to attend our series this year, as a way to start implementing digital fluency in your school. So we're going to be doing a combination of workshops that are virtual and in person. So we'll be going more in depth with the resources that we've presented today, and kind of help participants sketch out a model for how they're going to roll out digital fluency in their school, because a lot's going to depend on what the school's already doing. Are there multiple schools in the building? What's the scheduling like? What's the teacher's knowledge and comfort and passion about digital fluency? So our courses are all available right now to register. So please click on that link in the slide if you want to begin registering for it.
I'm going to drop that link in the chat right now.
Okay.
And also, we're going to be building into those sessions opportunities for participants to share with each other some best practices as we're working on this, as we're going through the year and trying this out. You guys would have the opportunity to share with each other, what worked for you, what didn't work for you, to help that kind of feedback loop so we can always be improving how we do this.
And you know what, I'm just going to take a moment and I will actually show our SLISA LibGuide
Yes.
live. Okay, so, oops, we'll go back to the reflection form. So we did put the link in the Q&A. If you look on the answered section, I believe it's in there.
I'm putting it in the chat now too.
Okay, you put it in the chat too. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's going to be in multiple places, so don't worry. Okay, so this is the website, the Empire State Information Fluency Continuum. So this introduction kind of describes the stripling model of inquiry, and it provides the framework for all the skills that are listed. Okay, there's the 4 standards. There's the, oh, sorry, I'm in an office, so it just fell one off. There's a continuum, and then the priority skills. So you can see like some of the different skills. Connects ideas to own interests, for example. And then we have the assessments. So you can look up the assessments by grade. So these are all of the Word document graphic organizers that can be downloaded. You can also search for these same documents by standards. Okay, so you'll see here we have the stripling model of inquiry, and then ones that were added when this was updated in 2019. So we added in assessments for design thinking, multiple literacies, social responsibility, and personal growth. So a lot of the attributes that were in the portrait of an engaged learner. So if you just downloaded one, okay, this is what it would look like. So it's just a Word document, or sorry, a Word version of a graphic organizer. We also have lesson plans by grade. So those are organized by grade. So you can go in and open up the lesson plan, as well as the graphic organizer that can also open as a Google Doc. We have the same lessons, just organized by skill. And then these are the new features that have been added with the Work Through Teaching Matters. So we have the portraits of the engaged learner, the digital fluency alignment that we mentioned earlier to align with the new DFCS standards coming up from New York State in 2024. These are the same assessments that have been updated with cultural responsiveness and SEL. So it's the same skill, just enhanced with some of the new learning attributes, and then the culminating products. We're also going to be attaching the ones that were developed by Teaching Matters. And then this is kind of the framework for our series to go more in depth with each of the instructional products and inquiry products with teachers and librarians. So now we'll open it up to Q&A and start answering those live in some cases, and also looking in the chat to see. Yeah, so you can obtain a copy of today's PowerPoint presentation. I will stop sharing, and I will make a copy of it and put it in the chat for you to then copy. Okay. Okay. So let me do that. Oh, and then Vincent, do you want to post the reflection form into the chat for everybody?
Yes, I got it.
Okay.
Oops. Here is that reflection form. We would love to get your feedback on today's presentation, as well as if you're thinking about what resources you would like to use in your school going forward this year to support inquiry and digital fluency instruction in your context. I'm seeing quite a few questions or some stuff in the Q&A about maybe some of the documents were difficult to see on the screen. But if you follow that link that I posted to the information fluency continuum, in there is where you're going to find all of the things. What we were showing you were just kind of screenshots of the work that's been done and put into a slideshow for the format of this presentation. But you can get everything you saw previewed in our presentation at this website. That's where all of those documents and all of those standards live. Everything from the graphic organizers to the culminating products, it's all there.
Yeah, and if you look in the Q&A answered section, there's a link to the presentation, just a copy of it. So feel free to use it. Okay, let's see if there's any other questions. Okay. And CTLE questions are available on the Beyond Access forum. So you can find all of the information there. Okay, and I believe we also posted again in the chat the ESIFC. Yep, I think all the links are available in the chat or the Q&A in the answered section. Okay. Someone asked, are there other inquiry models? There are other inquiry models available. I mean, obviously we're kind of biased. Inquiry. Barbara Stripping was a former director of the New York City School Library System, and the ESIFC is rooted in that model. So I would be remiss to mention any other site, because I mean you can find some. They follow a similar process, but we think this one's the best.
And it's also what's used in school libraries across the whole state.
Yeah.
So in order to stay aligned with our colleagues.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And someone just did post CTLE information into the chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And so
the ESIFC is very, very flexible. It's just standards that can be differentiated the way one differentiates any of their instruction. And you can, look at the different grade levels of products or of the graphic organizers that you can use, with students who are high functioning or low functioning. You can sort of customize it and adapt them to suit your needs.
And several of the lesson plans have ideas for differentiation in terms of a lot of the graphic organizers are the same skill, just at different levels. So you can always print out various versions of, say, main idea or point of view to meet the needs of diverse learners. Even if you could print them out or share them on through Google Classroom. The capstone project, yeah, those are not linked yet to the website, but I believe they will be shortly. Probably with a separate tab.
Right. The culminating products are were not designed by Teaching Matters, and they're available for grades K through 12. The Teaching Matters are fully fleshed out day-by-day lessons that are already developed in grades 2, what is it, Leanne? 2, 5, 7, and then the
And 8.
right,
Yeah.
and then the culminating, I'm sorry, the capstone project is in 8th grade.
Yeah. Okay, and someone asked if you're just to kind of look at the guy.
Um, any new?
A grant. Oh yeah. Well, we were gonna do a pilot in schools, but the funding was pulled. So unfortunately, this is our new rollout. The in-person training will be located in, I believe the first session is in Lower Manhattan,
Mhm.
at high school, Seward Park. The January March session, and then the June session is going to be in Brooklyn.
Yes, at the Westinghouse campus in downtown Brooklyn. So it's got lots of transportation nearby, and you should come.
Yeah. So the first 2 sessions, January and March, are in Lower Manhattan, and then the June session is going to be in Brooklyn, and then obviously the virtual will be via Zoom. And our first session is on November 28th, and it's going to be Gail presenting products that kind of support the work that we're doing and through the content area. So it's content area articles and reference book excerpts, videos, primary sources, newspaper articles that you can use to help teach the skills through by collaborating with a subject area teacher. Or if you're a subject area teacher, collaborating with your librarian. Right now, the Teaching Matters and Capstone projects are not available on the LibGuide. I believe they will be, but I don't want to say for sure. It might be that you have to, I think we're still deciding how the rules are. I mean, obviously we'll share those with people that come to this session. It might be the incentive to get you to come. Because there's a lot to unpack. So we don't want to just post it,
Right.
we really want to guide people through the use of it. So my thinking is probably they won't be posted now. So that's why you need to come to our January 12th session in order to get access to it and kind of, we can help you kind of go through the design of it and how you can unroll it and use in your school. So, but we'll be posting probably the units aligned to the community products on the website when they're done in the next couple months.
The last question I just saw come in, they are different sessions. So they're going to be showcasing different resources, different curricular supports. It's not just the same thing repeated multiple times. It's a series of professional development. So definitely come to as many of them as you are able to, hopefully all of them, to get the full experience.
Yep. Because there's a lot to digital fluency. And so we're kind of giving people tools and resources and sort of time to plan how to unroll it school-wide. That's our ultimate aim.
All right. And we want to make sure that we are respectful of time because I know everybody working on the back end has got to get ready for the next session. So yeah, you had our email addresses at the beginning. If you have any follow-up questions that you wanted to share with us, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Is there anything else, Leanne?
I don't think you. Thank you for coming, and we look forward to seeing you. I hope I'm working with you with our sessions throughout
Yeah.
the year.